Hi, it's Laura from Lawrence Branch, and today I'm going to preview this new children's nonfiction book that came in called What is a River? First, I'll simply preview it for you by turning the pages set to music. And after that, hang out and I'll read some of it to you. I'll excerpt it. I love rivers. I love particularly the Delaware River here in New Jersey, and this caught my eye, and it's a wonderful book. I hope you enjoy it. We are on the banks of the river, my grandmother and I. I am picking flowers. Each flower has meaning. Daisies represent love, shamrocks health, reeds resilience. That's what Grandma says. I'm going to make a wreath. Grandma has a piece of fabric, some thread, and a needle. She is embroidering a tablecloth. The river glimmers in the shade, reflecting trees and flowers. It has hidden depths beneath the surface, just like people. River, who are you? Grandma, what is a river? A river is a thread, says Grandma. It embroiders our world with beautiful patterns. It connects people and places, past and present. It stitches stories together. Rivers make up only a tiny fraction of all the fresh water on Earth, just 0.002%. That's even less than a teaspoon compared to a bathtub. But think of all the powers rivers have. They take us on breathtaking voyages of discovery, soothe with their coolness, bring us together, inspire contemplation, tickle the imagination, and sometimes even frighten us. A river is a journey, a bubbling spring, a gap in a glacier, a boggy marsh, a silent lake. A river can begin anywhere. A river travels to many places: prairies and cities, dense forests and lush meadows, steppes and tundra, mountains and valleys. It travels through heat and cold. It leaps from dizzying heights, cascading down as a waterfall. It slinks lazily through marshes. Suddenly it twists, then meanders. It creeps underground. It carves canyons out of mountains, reducing rock to sediment. Over time, the sediment accumulates where the river meets the open sea, forming a delta. Rivers can join together and flow as one, connecting places and people. Can you imagine how many people the Nile, the world's longest river, visits on its 4,100-mile journey through Africa? And the Danube in Europe flows through 10 countries and gets its water from 9 more. A river is home. Mammals, birds, fish, insects, reptiles, all kinds of astonishing creatures call rivers home. Rivers are some of the most diverse ecosystems on Earth. In fact, they house more species of fish than the ocean. People too live near rivers and have since ancient times. The first civilizations emerged in the valleys of the Tigris and Euphrates, Nile, Indus, and Yellow River, where their waters had enriched the land with nutrients and sculpted natural roads. Rivers create and nourish. They provide drinking water for humans and animals. They irrigate the fields where we grow food for ourselves and our animals, flowers for our celebrations, and cotton for our clothes. Rivers make life easier. They provide the water we use to wash our clothes. They provide electricity that powers homes, factories, and mines. They create the sand and gravel we use to construct buildings. We use them to transport goods, whether on huge container ships or small boats. In recognition of this, many countries have been named after rivers. A river is refreshment. Rivers revive land. Just look at Botswana's inland Okavango Delta. Once a year, the Okavango River floods the plains and creates a wondrous wetland within, the Kalahari Desert. Flowers blossom, animals return, all is full of life. Rivers also refresh us. They bring fog in the morning and birdsong in the evening. They cool our tired feet. With their ceaseless motion, they invite us to see things anew. For all of these reasons, when a river changes course, the consequences can be dire. Have you heard the sad story of the Aral Sea? Since ancient times, it had been fed by the Amu Darya and Sir Darya rivers. Then about 60 years ago, people irresponsibly began to divert those rivers to irrigate fields, causing the sea to shrink. Today, the Aral is only 1/10 of its former size. Where once there was water, now there are only dusty plains and rusty ships. A river is a name. The names of rivers come from different places. Some rivers have names that come from languages so old they no longer exist, languages that were spoken long before any of today's countries were first drawn on maps. Some rivers have names that describe their movement, like the Tigris, tiger in ancient Greek, Rhine, that which flows in Celtic, and Ganges, swift goer in Sanskrit. Some rivers are named after colors, like the Rio Negro with its black waters, the red Colorado River, and the yellow Wanghe. Some rivers have names that describe their size and power. That is how the Mississippi, Big River in Algonquin, Zambezi, Great River in Bantu, and Rio Grande, Big River in Spanish got their names. The world's mightiest river is the Amazon. Around 20% of all fresh water on Earth flows through it. Every second it discharges nearly the same amount of water into the sea as all North American and European rivers combined. Its current is so powerful that sailors out at sea can taste its fresh water more than 100 miles away from the coast. A river is a meeting place. A river is a mystery. Rivers are full of secrets. What awaits us behind the next bend? That light flickering in the distance? Is it a firefly, a campfire? Maybe even a mischievous sprite? What happens on the riverbank at dusk? Who will we find there? A river's history. Rivers remind us of the Earth's past. They are home to species that originated long before the era of dinosaurs and still thrive today. Species called living fossils and their currents, which carve canyons from rock, reveal older and older layers. Rivers also collect fragments of our lives. Sometimes people lose things in rivers or throw them in on purpose. Some are carried along by the current. Occasionally they resurface. In this way, the river brings us pieces of the past. Others sink slowly down, eventually settling in the mud. Bicycles, keys, mementos, even memories. People once believed that there was a magical underground river called Lith. If you drank from its waters, you would lose your memories. But where would they go? Isn't it possible that as people lowered their heads to drink, their memories fell out and sank into the depths? Maybe they are still there on the river floor along with the other lost and abandoned things. What we throw away or lose, rivers often hold and remember. A river is a smell. Crisp zest of cold water rushing past, damp scent of mud during low tide, earthy spice of algae-covered rocks baking in the sun, sweet perfume of cherry blossoms riding on a gentle downstream wind. Irresistible aroma wafting from an open picnic basket by the river. So many smells, but not all of them, as you probably know already, are pleasant. Imagine the blooming lotus fields of the Volga River Delta in summer, or the floating markets of the Mekong River. Fresh fruits, fish, flowers, spices, everything for sale on the boats as a smell. Close your eyes and imagine the river. What does it smell like to you? What does it make you think of? A river is depth. What lies hidden at the bottom of rivers? Stones, plants, abandoned treasures? How many secrets would all the keys thrown into rivers unlock? A river is energy. A river is a reflection. Rivers reflect their surroundings, and they tell us about ourselves. So what do they tell us when they are overflowing with garbage and covered in oil spills? Throughout the ages, people have told stories about a miraculous river that could reverse aging and cure illness, known as the Fountain of Youth. Many have searched for it. Perhaps such a fountain doesn't actually exist, but like the Fountain of Youth, the flowing water of all rivers is the magical water of life. A river is connection. Rivers connect the past, present, and future. From remote lands, they weave their way to our homes and continue onto different horizons. They bring faraway places close and turn strangers into neighbors. Look up on a clear night and you will see a glittering ribbon of stars stretching across the sky. Some call it the Milky Way, some the path of birds, and others the Silver River. And like all rivers, it connects us all, for whoever's looking from wherever they are, shares in its enchantment. A river is flow. The ancient Greeks believed that the whole world was encircled by the great river Oceanus, which was the source of all water on earth. This is where the word ocean comes from. While we now know that this isn't the case, it is true that all the water in the world is part of a gigantic system that existed long before we were born and will continue to exist long after we are gone. Water is ever-changing, flowing back and forth between oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, clouds, rain, and groundwater. It flows through every tree, fish, and insect. It flows through you and me. The sun is sinking in the sky. Grandma's grown old. Time to go home, she says. But is the story of the river finished, Grandma? She looks at me and smiles. Painters, composers, sculptors, crafters, explorers, map makers, lawmakers, activists, poets, philosophers, pilgrims, conquerors, merchants, Fishers, scientists, many people throughout history have told stories about rivers. What is yours? Every story is important, and new ones are being added all the time. So you see, the story of the river can never be finished. It is constantly being written. I finish my wreath and let the current carry it away. Thanks for listening. It's Laura. I'll see you again next time.